Hi, I'm Eric with 3 Crown Studio, and in this video, I want to talk a little bit about buses. What are they, and how can you use them to mix both better and faster? Alright, so before we dive right in, please don't forget to hit the subscribe button below, as well as the notification bell so you can see whenever future videos get dropped. Also, if you have any questions or feedback, or if there are any topics that you'd like me to cover in future videos, just leave them right in the comments below. Alright, so let's start off by answering that question, what is a bus? When you're routing things within your software or on your mixer, you have inputs, which is signals coming into your recording software. You have your outputs, which is signals coming out of your recording software. And then you have buses. And buses are a way that we can move stuff from one place to another within the software. So think of it like a literal bus. You put stuff on the bus at point A, it travels to point B, and it gets off the bus. So now that we've talked about what a bus is, I want to show you a couple different ways that you can use them in your sessions. Okay, so one bus that you guys are already familiar with would be your master bus. You may not realize it, but your master channel is actually a sub-bus. So all of the tracks in your software, in your mix, they're all being routed through a bus within the software, within your mixer, to the master channel. Similar to this, we can create our own fader using an auxiliary track and buses to create submixes before the master, and this is really going to help you guys out. So here we have a common example of this where we have a rhythm guitar track for a rock song, and we've tracked this guitar part twice, and each time that we tracked it, we used 2 different microphones on the amplifier. So the result is that we have 4 tracks that all make up a single guitar part in the song. So for this, we want to create a submix so that we have a single fader to be able to control that guitar part. So let's take a listen. Okay, so we've got all of those currently going to our master fader, which means if we wanted to make any changes to this overall guitar part, we would have to do it 4 times. We'd have to work on each track individually. What we're going to do is create an auxiliary track, so a stereo auxiliary track, and we're going to name this S for sub guitar. Okay, so we've got an auxiliary track here, and then we're going to make the input of this auxiliary track a bus. You can choose any bus that you like, whatever one's open. So we'll just take bus 1 and 2. So that's the destination of the bus. Now we're going to take these 4 guitar tracks that make up our single guitar part, and we're going to change the output to bus 1 and 2. So we've taken our 4 tracks, we put them on the bus 1 and 2, and we're sending them to the auxiliary track. Then that auxiliary track is going to go to our master fader. So once we've done that, you can see when we play these guitar tracks here, they'll show up on our submix. So now if we want to turn this whole track down, 1 fader. If we wanted to put an EQ on it, then all we have to do is just pull up whatever EQ we want to use on it. Let's take the T-Rex, maybe cut the lows. And you can hear that we're doing this to the entire guitar track even though we're only using a single plugin, as opposed to having to use 4 of them, 1 on each channel. If we wanted to automate this, we can do that. We could just maybe want to pull it down and back up again here, like this. So you can see how that would be extremely useful. If you have a couple different guitar parts and all of them are 4 tracks apiece, you could sum it down into just a couple of simple faders. It's going to allow you to maneuver and work within your mix much more quickly. All right, the next example of how we can use a bus is with effects. Let's take a common one, let's say a reverb. So if we want to have one type of reverb and we want to have that on multiple tracks across the mix at different levels, One way we could do that is we could put that reverb that we want on every single track that we want it on and adjust the levels individually and do all that. But you're not feeding all of these tracks into a single reverb at that point, and you're also using up a lot of processing power. You have all these different reverb plugins in your mix that you have to navigate through and adjust and work on. Or we can have one single instance of that reverb and just send any tracks that we want to it via a bus. So again, we're going to create an auxiliary track. So let's create a stereo auxiliary input, and we'll name this reverb 1. Okay, so now we have this reverb track right here, and if we put whatever reverb you want on there, let's just go ahead and go with good old deverb. Make sure that your mix is 100% wet on that, since it's a separate channel effect. And then we'll set our input bus. We'll choose 3 and 4. And on any track that we want to send to that bus, simply go to your sends and send it to that same bus, 3 and 4. And now we get a fader here. So if we pull up just this guitar track that we have that send on, and we start pushing up this fader, which is how much level we're sending to that auxiliary channel, you hear now that we've got some reverb on there. But if we go to a different guitar track, there's no reverb there. So we could just as easily, if we want, send this one to the reverb. That's 3 and 4. And maybe we just want to send that one a little bit. Like that. So now we've got 2 different tracks, both going to our reverb with one reverb plugin. And you can see how that would be very useful, because you can have, say, your snare drum going a lot if you want a really reverberous snare drum, and then you could have your kick drum not at all, and you could have your vocals going to a reverb, but with just using a single reverb plugin. So that's how you can use a bus to send different tracks to an effect. All right, so now that you have a little bit of a better understanding of what a bus is and some ways that you can use it in your mix, give them a try, see what you think. And if you have any questions, comments, feedback, please leave them in the comments section below. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time.